in this blue folder, there is examples of donut art. So what we did was go in, and we drew from an aerial perspective. So this is a donut on a napkin. This is the actual coffee mug with the coffee in it, the handle, napkin, ring around it, and pie and donut. Okay, so once we did that, this is what student art looks like. Okay, they actually painted coffee inside of the cup. The donuts are here and here, and the tablecloth is decorated according to the children's perspective. The coffee, I could have a design in it with a white color pencil or oil pastel, and of course they had to add napkins. Okay, other students in other grades, they would trace a circle, and then change the shape of the donut. This is a student example with oil pastels to make it look more realistic. Other examples of student artwork. And then the younger grades drew a stack of donuts. Then little kids, you trace a plate, trace a smaller circle, and then make a wild pastel of pink and white mix on the center for the frosting, and then they would go in with markers or different things to add the frosting on top. So each grade level has a different style to make a donut. Then you would just talk about pastels, talk about aerial perspective, you would talk about shading when you use the oil pastels. So different grade levels, different activities, and then your basic drawing of your donut, adding depth on the inside. So that's my donut lesson by whichever grade level you think is best, because sometimes the younger kids can surprise you and they can do more things than what you think. So whatever grade level you think is best, that's which grade level would do that assignment. So for Black History, what we did one year was animals in Africa. This is my example of a stylized cheetah. Of course, you can add your glasses. Start off with a circle, 2 lines, smaller circle body, and then you add a smiley face and dot for the spots. The dots can be thicker as they spread out around the cheetah, and we use tempera, peach tempera. Okay, the artist William T. Williams is an artist who takes different shapes and circles, and they trace, they layer on top of each other, overlay on top of each other, and every time they connect, it's a different color painted on the inside. So that's an African American artist that you could talk about during Black History Month. We also have the artist Annie Lee. Annie Lee is a figure sculptor and drawer, and so once you get the shape of the person expressing themselves in the way that they want to be expressed, you draw it out. We use watercolor in the background and a word that matches the person's stance or body expression, but the person, does not have a facial expression, because that's not how the artist Annie Lee would do it. She doesn't have facial expressions. The motion of the body or the figure drawing would explain how the person feels without them having a facial expression. Same here. So those would be my examples of Black History Month lessons. Okay, then we have school spirit. So just pretend like your school has a soccer team, and so you draw examples of audience, the net, a side perspective of the person kicking the ball, and the actual soccer ball, and then you will put the school mascot on the chest of the person. Another lesson that I like to do at the beginning of the school year is texture, apply texture. Of course, the starry night swirl in the background, shading with warm colors so that we can get the effect of the sun being very, very hot. Using lime to put texture at the bottom of the desert. Tumbleweed. And then we have our cactuses here and here with the little spiky lines. So that's my way of teaching kids how to add texture and detail to an assignment without necessarily having to use like a rubbing plate. Okay. This is a different example. What we talked about was landscapes, plateaus, and deserts, and beaches. And so different types of landscapes, because all of them are not farms and all of them are not cityscapes. So we drew an airplane, and an airplane just flew into a destination. Other beginning of the year lessons that I like to do is your name. So you just take your name, you write it in the middle, you cut it out in a zigzag, make sure you have a pattern around your name, and then it bursts from a dark outline of a black oil pastel with yellow all around on top of a brick wall, and it kind of looks like a superhero or someone punched the hole into the brick wall. So this is just simply oil pastels that are brown, black, white to layer on top of the checkered pattern brick wall. It's a continuation of the donut lesson. The evolution of it, making stains on those napkins, really did bring out that assignment. This is the basic drawing setup. Using value with coffee, actual coffee, so you know how dark the coffee is. I told them the darker the coffee is, the less sugar is in the coffee, or the less water is in the coffee, so it kind of fades from light to dark, and learning to use those designs of the white swirl or cream inside the top of the coffee. So that's just how I explained the lesson. This is also a Black History Month lesson. So like pretty much animals in Africa. So you would just set up the orange, sunset, red, and yellow using warm colors. We have stencils of animals, stencils of jeeps. You would just go in and kind of make that scene along the sunset. Valentine's Day. So basically this is a jar, a mason jar. You would go in and put like a little ribbon at the top of the jar, trace the hearts on the inside of the jar, and make sure the hearts have some type of design on the inside. But like some students went in and made the jar look like it was cracked open and all the little hearts would kind of break free from the jar. So however you want to stylize this to make it more exciting, you feel free to do that. This is my Cassie Stevens remake. I think she has a dinosaur lesson, and so what I did was go in and change the face to make it look like goggles, and so like someone looking through a savannah adventure through their binoculars. So this is a watercolor and watercolor pencil still life for 5th grade only. So I actually have a can with a ruler, scissors, paintbrush, even though this one doesn't have a paintbrush in it, actual sunflowers or plastic sunflowers on the table, and what their job was to do was to observe and draw what they saw to the best of their ability. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks to do, and you can even take it as far as making students draw in the background exactly what they see. Some kids did, some kids just like to paint the solid color in the background. Kindergarten sunflower. This is my set of fairy tale lessons. So in my set of fairy tale lessons, what we pretty much do are fictional lessons. We made a stone out of oil pastels, and the top is chalk pastel. So you have to do only one part at a time, because kids will get confused between oil and chalk pastels. And once we have done that, then we add the gold to the top of the sword and the stone, and we make the rainbow in the background. So that's what this is from the story, the sword and the stone. Okay, this is Harry Potter inspired. So you pretty much do your hand like this, and you draw your fingertips, and your hand is holding the wizard's wand, and this is the bottom of your drapery. Many students enjoyed this lesson. Okay, for the younger group, we do the lily pads and the water lilies, the frog, Princess and the Frog. Many kids enjoyed that. And then for your second graders, you do self-portraits of yourself as a king or a queen. This is my step-by-step example with kindergarten. We start off with a square, 2 lines on each side, upside down view, and then we put the flower from Beauty and the Beast all in the center with the window, curtains, and the window, and we call it a stained glass window. So they have to color the inside of the glass the same color as they did the window. So if you do it slowly, step by step, in a sequential order, the kids you really like it and they follow along very well. I believe that's all for the fairy tale or fictional lessons. Alright, springtime. So, you start off with a dot of tempera. Once you have your dot of tempera, you go in with a small brush and you do 1 stroke painting. So they just put the brush down, lift it up, put the brush down, lift it up, or they can do swirl, curve, 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 curve. So this was scrapbook paper, oil pastels, and tempera. This is my example of how to explain to kids how to do the 1-stroke painting. You use the darkness of one color and the lightness of the other. So you will use red and white unmixed, or you will use red as your base and then mix red and white together to go on top. It should be a value shift. Same if you use orange or yellow. This is my 1st grade lesson. So again, tempera and oil pastels to make cherry blossoms inside of the vase. Highlight with the white oil pastel on the inside of the vase. Also springtime, you trace the mason jar, paint the water on the inside, oil pastels at the top, so it's pretty much a swirl, curve, 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 and then line, V, V, V for the flower. That's pretty much it for springtime. I think I had, okay. For the upper grades, springtime for the lower grades. Okay, simple ladybug. Green grass at the bottom, ladybug at the top on red construction paper, black oil pastel for your dots. You want to teach line and direction. Of course, you have grass in the mason jar, zigzag line, diagonal, wavy, straight lines, and then they just go in with red and black marker to add the ladybugs on the inside, and white oil pastel to make the eyes on the ladybug. You teach variety and lines. Another simple way to add a ladybug lesson, depending on what kind of materials you have. If you want to give kids the opportunity to use scissors, simple U shape. Okay, springtime, a rainbow in the thunderstorm. It's showing value, how to add enough water to make sure that the sky doesn't look black, but it looks faded as it's going to get ready to thunder. You also teach rainbow order, red Roy G. Biv, and the use of oil pastel and how the oil pastel will not fade away if you paint over it using watercolor. The base of the butterfly with crayon only, and you will just go in and learn to shade from light to dark, from yellow to orange, and then you go in with these dark black lines to add your lines for your butterfly, a more simplistic butterfly for your younger grades, and then going in with the same idea of a value shift of light to dark using light blue and dark blue for your butterfly. Alright, and of course a guided drawing of a leprechaun. And it can also turn into Abraham Lincoln depending on what you're trying to celebrate. Okay, tracing ovals and painting them with the watercolors, and then making your own little Easter basket. Some kids added a little chicken at the top. Some people put a bow at the top. It was up to the discretion of the child. And then using cross hatching with different colors at the bottom to decorate the basket. Birds are always a good idea for springtime. And then we have the bunny also with the eggs at the bottom. The bunny turned around in the backwards direction. You have to explain why you can't see the bunny's face. And those end my lesson plans for 2021-2022.